Good day, everyone. I am Jane D. Trajano from Bisuao to Block 1. So, for today's video, I'm going to discuss the Chapter 4, which is the Global Interstate System. So, the state has traditionally been the subject of most interest to scholars of global politics because it is viewed as the institution that creates warfare and sets economic policies for a country. So, furthermore, the state is political unit that has authority over its own affairs. In other words, its borders are recognized by other countries. It is assumed that whoever is in charge of those borders has the right to determine exactly what is going to happen in their country. Today, the globalization of politics created an atmosphere where the ideas of the nation state, state sovereignty, government control, and state policies are challenged on all sides. So, before we must continue, let's tackle what is interstate. So, interstate is a system of unequally powerful and competing states in which no single state is capable of imposing controls on all others. These states are in interaction with one another in a set of shifting alliance and wars, and change in relative power of states upsets any temporary set of alliances, leading to restructuring of balance of power. Next is, what is economic sovereignty? So, economic sovereignty is the power of national governments to make decisions independently of those made by other governments. So, with globalization, some scholars suggest a decrease in the power of the state and that other actors are actually becoming more powerful. These actors include multinational corporations and global civil society organizations like Red Cross. So, what is global governance in the 21st century? There is a series of specific factors behind the emergence of global governance. The first on the list must be the declining power of nation-states. If states themselves were highly contingent and in flux, would open the possibility of emergence of some form of global governance to fill the void. So the second one is the vast flows of all sorts of things that run into and often right through the borders of nation states. So in this juncture, this could involve the flow of digital information of all sorts through the internet. There is mass migration of people and their entry, often legally, into various nation states. If the states are unable to control this flow, then there is a need for some sort of global governance to help deal with the problem. Then, global problems that single nation state cannot hope to tackle on their own. One is the global financial crisis and panic that sweep the whole world periodically, which nations are often unable to deal with on their own. So next, we must tackle the effects of globalizations to governments. So one of the key aspects of state sovereignty is the government. It is a group of people who have the ultimate authority to act on behalf of a state. Each state has its own right to self-determine, and that other countries should not interfere in the affairs of that state unless there are extraordinary reasons to do so. So, aside from this, there are various effects of globalizations on our country. First is the communications. So, communications, the subscribers and the users of the internet are remarkably increasing, which is positive. Next is the education. The education is easy access of ideas and informations from best libraries around the globe. Media coverage. Awareness of issues on health, gender, environment, and inequality. So, ano ang giingon nga ma-aware ta sa unsay mga panghitabo sa ato ang kanang palibot, sa unsay mga news makabaluta. So next is the culture. Clear and deeper understanding of the different communities that leads to sympathy and demonstrations with one another. So malikayan we can avoid the discriminations. So malikayan nato ang mga diskriminasyon sa ato ang culture, sa tagsa nato ka culture. Next, we must tackle the relevance of the state amid globalization. So the state is a distinctive political community with its own set of rules and practices, and that is more or less separate from other communities. So, it has 4 elements. First is people, second is territory, next is government, and sovereignty. So, the first element of a state is a permanent population. So, mga tao. These populations does not refer to a nomadic people that move from one place to another in an indefinite time. This permanent presence in one location is strengthened by the second element of a state, is defined as territory. A territory has clear boundaries. A territory is effective control by the third element, so which is the government. The government regulates relations among its own people with other states. This means that the state is formally constituted sovereign political structure encompassing people, territory, and its institutions on the one hand, and maintaining its autonomy from other states on the other hand.
Next is the institutions that govern international relations. There are several international organizations that governments of countries around the world and individuals participate in. These include the United Nations, the International Court of Justice, NAFTA, and NATO. There are also non-governmental organizations promoting social and economic growth. Let us look at them one by one. Next is the non-government organizations. So, another example of an international organization that was developed out of war is the Red Cross. It is considered as the non-governmental organizations. Non-governmental organizations are not tied to any country. This allows them to operate freely throughout the world. They provide emergency relief such as food, water, and medical supplies for those whose homes or towns have been destroyed by disaster or war. They also monitor the treatment of prisoners of wars and go to conflicts to make sure that no war crimes are taking place